Hi, my name's Harold Gutman. I cover North Carolina. I'm here with Steve Wiseman, who covers Duke, and welcome to Our Game, a video production by the Durham Herald-Sun, where we talk about our game in the triangle, which is, of course, college basketball. Although you could certainly make the case that it's college football this week, with UNC scoring 80 points on Saturday and Duke going for the Coastal Division title.
Yes.
But maybe if we have some time at the end, we can talk about that. But first, it was also a really interesting basketball week for both of our teams. North Carolina knocked off number 3 Louisville on Sunday, and Duke almost had their 13-year non-conference home win streak end against Vermont of all teams. Steve, what happened there?
Lack of communication, and the players and Coach K admitted they overlooked Vermont, just kind of like they overlooked East Carolina a few days earlier, last Tuesday, and they almost lost that game. So they're at a stage where they think they can show up and with their abilities just kind of blow people out. And they took a big lead on Vermont, but they weren't playing defense at all. They're not communicating on defense. They're not getting in front of people. Vermont had endless number of shots in the lane. It's why they shot 65%. So this is a real issue that Duke's going to have to address. The senior leaders have to step up and get this team together, get them talking on defense more, get them taking teams seriously, because they've got some tougher games coming up here soon. Michigan's coming in next week, even though they're kind of struggling a little bit. But we saw what happened against Kansas when Duke went up against a team of that caliber, and they weren't able to play very good defense. And now they're doing it against some of the lesser teams on their schedule. It's really a cause for concern.
Yeah, it's funny. It was a really frustrating day for people in Duke, I'm sure, on Sunday. It was a really uplifting day for North Carolina. Like I said, they knocked off number 3 Louisville, one of the biggest non-conference wins in Roy Williams' tenure, just because it was so unexpected. People were kind of ready to bury them. I think the two biggest factors, and we've talked about it all preseason even, they need someone to hit outside shots without PJ and Harrison and Leslie McDonald on the team, and they need an inside presence. They need someone to step up in the middle. And they got both things against Louisville. Marcus Page scored, I think, 58 points in the 2 games. He had 9 threes. He's shooting over 50% from behind the arc, so he's kind of stepping into that shooter's role. And then Kennedy Meeks, the freshman from Charlotte, was 3 assists shy of a triple-double. He had 13 points, 12 rebounds, 7 assists. So it's kind of, when they have the outside shooting and they have the inside presence, you can see how effective UNC can be. When they don't have it, you can see what happens when they lost to Belmont the week before. So it's a big week for Duke. You're going to be in New York to watch the preseason NIT. What are you going to look for there?
Well, really, how they're going to play on defense and how they're going to come out and attack these teams. And the whole talk with Duke going into the season was that their athleticism, their defense was going to force the issue, put teams on their heels, and we haven't seen any of that yet. So that's a big thing we're going to have to worry about. It's funny. A week ago, after UNC lost to Belmont, there was a lot of concern, should they be a top 25 team? And when the poll came out this next time, they were still in it, and they're still in it now. And now people are wondering if Duke should be a top 10 team. And I voted. I kept them 9th, although it was a struggle to keep them in the top 10 the way they're playing. So we'll see how that works out this week too. Yeah,
like you mentioned, Carolina was the 24th. They were about to get knocked out. I think if they lost to Louisville, that would have been it for them, and they jumped back up to 16 with that win. Right. The interesting thing to watch for North Carolina this week, they finally played some true road games. They played Louisville up in Connecticut. It was a real pro-UNC crowd. It was almost like a Duke Northeast crowd where they get all their, the alumni base up there. But it was a real pro-UNC crowd. It'll be interesting. They go down to Alabama Birmingham, play former assistant Jared Haas down there on Sunday, and then they have the Big Ten ACC Challenge against Michigan State. And so it'll be really interesting to see. It's a young team. They don't have any seniors right now with Leslie out. James Michael McAdoo is really the only junior contributes. So it's a young team. It'll be really interesting to see how they can play in a hostile environment. Like I mentioned, it is a big football game. It'd be crazy not to talk about it. What's your prediction, Steve? Duke-UNC on Saturday.
Well, Duke really is playing with a lot of belief right now. They've answered every challenge here over the last 2 months. It's one of those things where you keep waiting for them to the other shoe to drop and for them to lose a game. And they survived at Wake Forest when they didn't play really well early. And I just think they're gonna continue their role.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think Duke's actually better than the team last year that beat North Carolina. So obviously you can't say I don't think it's the same old Duke. They can't beat Carolina. They beat them last year and they're better this year. I think with UNC, they're obviously playing as well as they can play. They put up 80 points on Saturday. They have a lot of confidence. And I think if you ask them last year who your biggest rival is, they'd say NC State. Now that they lost to Duke, they kind of have that motivation as well. I think it'll be a really interesting game. Really close. I would take the points if you're allowed to say that. But it'll be a close one. So thanks so much for watching, and we'll be back next week.